hamburger, hamburger, hum. Hamburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac.
So I'm lounging around with my crew just chillin'. I'm wearing black and white, but I ain't no villain. When all of a sudden I get this rumbling feeling. It's my stomach, it's telling me I need to be grillin' some hamburgers, you know, that big fat and juicy, the ones that be having you licking your lips profusely. And when you take a bite, you no longer feel down, cause with that taste of perfection in your mouth, you can't frown. Life's so good when you're eating a burger. It's so unhealthy, it's like artery murder. But you don't even care cause it tastes so good. It's like
hamburger,
yum.
Hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac.
Yeah, I want a hamburger and a large pop. I need some ketchup. Oh yeah, can I get a side of fries too?
And a side of fries.
Yes, yeah, you got it. Fries. Yep, fries. You got it. Hey, no need to yell, man. I'm right here. I heard you. You cool? Alright. I'm just gonna pull up to the window, alright? Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Yeah, just let the beat ride out.
Hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, hamburger cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac.
Are we all? Happy birthday, Cal. 1 year less to go. All right. Before we begin, reminder that this channel has been falsely demonetized. If you want to help support my channel and my staff and keep the wheels turning, please consider joining my Patreon. There's a link in the description. You will get advance access to video essay scripts, so on and so forth, as well as mugs. And consider donating through Stream Elements. We can't take super chats anymore because we are demonetized. However, you can still chat. And Stream Elements is better, actually, because YouTube doesn't take 30% of it. Before, if you gave me $100, as occasionally would happen, it was very nice when it happened, I wouldn't actually get $100. YouTube would take 30-some-odd% of it, and I'd probably get somewhere between 65 and 70, which is pretty gross, because they're still running ads on my channel, despite the fact that I'm not taking any ad revenue from it, which makes the whole thing a farce, doesn't it? You can request content topics in higher tiers, yes. Am I quiet? Convenient as tell, you're the only person who ever says I'm quiet. I'm looking at my thing right now. It is fine. How's this? Is that better? Quiet, actually. What the hell? All right. There we go. How's this? Is that better? Is that better? That's better? Okay. A little better. Here, we'll boost it a bit more. I just don't want to be peaking. Let's put it up to 10, okay? See how that is. How's this? Is that good? I like this. I think this is good. However, if I yell, it goes to the red very fast. What do you mean the latency? I'm on low latency. Okay, well, since apparently the music was louder than my voice, I'll say that again. So, reminder, this channel's been demonetized. If you want to help support the content, please consider becoming a patron. There are perks. You get access to advanced scripts. You get access to, get early access to the video essays themselves when they upload. There are also things like mugs and whatnot for certain tiers. Also, we can't do super chats anymore because they're demonetized, but you can still donate and have your chat read out on screen through Stream Elements, pinned at the top, and posted by Nightbot in the chat. It's when I said better, you already up the volume. It should be like almost immediate. I'm at low latency, but whatever. Okay. All right. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cover some stuff, and then we're going to switch over to Twitch, and we're going to keep on going with Alien Isolation. We are trying to build the Twitch audience so that we are not dependent on YouTube for the channel, because YouTube is not reliable. I'm not entirely sure what that means for posting video essays if the channel gets taken down. I will probably allow people to just post them, and I'll rely on your support to make new ones, and I'll give them away to another channel, basically. That's how that'll go. YouTube equals side hustle if it doesn't make any money. If it does make money and you've you know, built your life around a certain kind of income, then it's not a side hustle, it's work. And it's a lot of work. I'm currently on stream now for 7 hours basically daily. And then I'm essay writing and reading for essay writing. It's a lot. It's a lot. Patreon is the main hustle. No, they're the same thing, because the stuff I get paid for on Patreon goes to YouTube, right? It goes on to YouTube. I'm not just on Patreon. Wait, will you be streaming the Alien Play on YouTube or just Twitch? Both. But I want people to start signing up to the Twitch if they can, because it means that if something happens to the YouTube channel, we can keep on running, right? Or will you be posting Patreon content on YouTube? No, how it works is when I make a YouTube video, it'll go on Patreon. When I make a video essay, it'll go on Patreon first for like a day, and the next day it'll go on YouTube. So if you want to watch the video essays early, patrons can do that. All patrons of all tiers. Canada is basically a gig economy now. It's actually horrific. It is horrifying. You actually cannot just work a minimum wage job anymore. It is so difficult. You can't get full-time work, but you can't even really get part-time work anymore. It's actually terrifying. It's actually terrifying. Free tier don't, because I need to make money, bluntly. That's a perk for people who support the channel. There's no point in making it early if free tier people can watch it, right? That's not a perk anymore. Grocery prices in Canada are insane. Not as insane as some places in the States. I also have an island tax, so it's more expensive here. What we call the island tax, because it's an extra layer of shipping, right? It's a literal extra ship for a lot of goods. All right. Okay, so I swear I'm not being petty, but before we get into the actual content, okay? Before we get into the actual content, got a little bit of a, this one's kind of a little PSA, okay? A little PSA for you. So, okay. Oh, did I? Hang on. I think I accidentally went out of my window. Here we go. Okay. So, someone I try to be really nice to, alas, has not been nice back. Many such cases, it's fine. It happens. But, and this is not being petty, this is just factive. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. John Card, I'm very sorry. So sorry about this. Honestly, no hard feelings meant, but we gotta do this. We gotta do this because this is just very irresponsible. This is just very irresponsible. So, come on. Show up. Nope. Really? Alright, very well. Sometimes, I swear, wait. Sometimes just, Windows just stop working. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. Okay. Well, in any case, we'll make it bigger. Okay, we'll do it this way. So, you will notice here that John Card has a video entitled, oh, no, we want, there we go. What happens if you don't vote in Australia? And he gives his answer in the thumbnail. Not much, really, right? Okay. Let's see what Monsieur Card has to say.
Hello there. My name's Card.
Hi,
I'm a
Card.
long-time progressive community organiser and activist. And I've lived in Australia my whole life. And today, I just wanted to very briefly explain something about the voting process in this country that I don't think most people know, although they should. Here in Australia, we have one of the highest rates of participation in our elections of any country. And
there's a reason for this. You are penalized with a fine if you do not vote in Australia. You're registered with the government. If you do not show up to vote, if your paper does not get submitted, they send you a fine. It starts off as $20. It goes up to $50 and then to $70, I think. I'd have to double check that. But there is a fine. You actually do get fined. Although apparently not much happens, so let's see what he has to say here.
broadly speaking, is good. I don't think you should look to the electoral process to solve all of your problems, but people wanting to be politically engaged and active is good all the same.
But
Now, if you're an adult and you're an Australian citizen, I just want you to take a moment to reflect on a simple question. What do you think happens if you don't vote?
well, let's look at the law, okay? What happens if you don't vote in Australia? In fact, that's actually the title of this video, isn't it? So, let's look at the Western Australian Electoral Commission, okay? Failure to vote. This is going to really bother me. Why is that not showing anything? Okay, hang on. What if I just reset transform? Then just doesn't show up. Just doesn't show up. Okay, we'll remove that. We'll duplicate this. We will see if we can't post it in there. Nope, it just goes down there. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Pop that there. Rename that. Rename that to YouTube Big. But it renames them both to Big. Wait, they're tied together. Oh, for God's sake. Okay. Here's what we will do. We will not copy it. We will add a window capture. YouTube Big. Okay. Boom. There we go. It's going to capture live, and there we have it. Okay. There we go. Let's trim off the top here. So we have no tax folders incidents. And we'll just set it. We'll set it right there. Okay. And we'll pop it. Down here. We'll rename this one YouTube Small. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Voting at state general elections, by-elections, and referenda is compulsory. If you did not vote at a state election or referendum, you may receive an email, text message, or notice in the mail seeking an explanation of your apparent failure to vote. Please respond to the electronic message or complete the form and return it in the envelope provided. Electors who fail to vote at a state election and do not provide a valid and sufficient reason for such failure will be fined. Will be fined. The penalty for first-time offenders is $50. Oh, I was wrong. And this increases to $75 if you have previously paid a penalty or been convicted of this offense. If you do not have a valid and sufficient reason for not voting, you can pay the penalty, and that will end the matter. Electors who do not respond to notices or do not pay the prescribed penalty may have the matter referred to the Fines Enforcement Registry and could have their driver's license suspended. Payments must be made by the due date on the relevant notice. If you miss a due date or payment, you will need to wait for the next notice for new payment information. Okay? So, evidently, there are consequences for voting in Australia. Except Card, apparently, disagrees.
I know a lot of people, smart, sensible, politically active people, who I've put this question to, and they all say the same thing. They assume there's a punishment of some sort, like a fine or a fee or something, if you don't
That's because it's what the government says is the rule.
vote. But that's not true.
Really?
I feel
That's not true. The government's lying. Okay, let's hear.
like there's something of an urban legend in this country that you don't get fined if you don't show up to a polling place on election day to have your name crossed off the voter roll and cast a ballot. You might have heard this from friends or from work colleagues or maybe from a high school civics teacher, but it's simply not true. See, what actually happens is, when you enrolled to vote, once you were of eligible age, you had to list a personal address so that the Electoral Commission knows what electorate you're meant to be voting in.
Right.
If you don't vote at, say, a federal election, a couple weeks later, your state's Electoral Commission will send a letter to your last known address with apparent failure to vote on it. And if you open that up, it basically says, you didn't vote, and we, the government, would prefer if next time you did. Thanks. That's it.
Now, here's the problem. That's not, and I'll tell you how I know. Because I looked it up. This is the actual experience of people who don't vote in Australia. Have any of you ever not voted and been fined or had some kind of other problem because of it? 4 months ago, yep. Got pinged, paid it, and moved on with my life. Same here. I was all for daylight savings here in WA, but forgot to vote. I had the opposite. I voted and got fined. Took writing a letter to appeal. I missed it due to testing positive with COVID. Still, it was like a $20 fine. I forgot to vote in a local council election a few years ago when I got the fine in the mail. I just filled an online dispute form and told them that my... What the hell is an UTA? My UTA broke. Down on the way to the polling place, they waived my fine. I got a $50 fine a long time ago for not voting. Yeah, but it was a snap election and I went overseas. Not me, but my wife was overseas and they waived it because the country she was living in didn't have Aussie embassies or consulates. I had 2 enrollments for a while in 2 states and didn't realize until I got a fine sent to my old address for not voting in the state election. The AEC put my birthday in wrong back. The AEC, Jesus, put my birthday in wrong back when I enrolled at age 18. The proper enrollment was back when I moved states and the RTA enrolled me automatically. It's now fixed and I just have 1 enrollment. Years ago I was super unwell and couldn't vote. They fined me. I got a fine. Like, I got a fine, I got a fine, I got a fine, I got a fine. But it's okay. Because Card got a letter. Here's what actually happens, as far as I can ascertain, okay? There are districts that determine that it is more cost-effective for them to send you a letter requesting that you vote again than to actually pursue a fine. Or, I don't know if he's like on some kind of disability thing or whatever, but it's simply not true that you are just off the hook if you don't vote in Australia. It's not an urban legend. They have a famously strict compulsory voting system. People do get fined. If you refuse to pay the fine, you can actually be charged criminally, and you can there can be like a default jump to, I believe, over $200 in your initial fine. Which, you know, if you've got a lot of money to burn, not a big deal. But if you don't have a lot of money to burn, that's actually a big deal. This is a really stupid thing to do, Card. You should actually look into what you're talking about and actually confirm if what you're saying is true, rather than going, well, I got lucky, lads. It looks like this is how it is. To, fortunately, only 444 people in 10 days, so at least nobody's watching this. It's just very silly. It's just very silly. It's a very silly thing to do. To go, well, I got lucky, I got a thing, therefore, We can solve bird flu by just letting the weak ducks die, and then the strong ducks will be immune. Very stupid way to conduct yourself. Kills your credibility. Dumb thing to do. Dumb thing to do, card. If you're a community organizer, you really don't want to be organizing people's expectations so that poor people end up losing money when they decide not to go to the polls. You actually have to go to the polls in Australia, or they fine you. That's a fact. Maybe you should get out more. Okay. I swear to God I'm not being petty. That just really fucking annoyed me. Because that's just like a factually wrong statement. I hate when people do that. I really dislike when people do that. Okay, what's next on the agenda? Is empathy a threat to Western civil? I've seen that a lot. I'm not sure I want to, though. I'm not sure I want to. Politics and video games, the Act Man. What have we got in the theory list? Keffels is live apparently again. I'm actually morbidly curious. Why is Keffels live? Why would she be live? It just seems like a bad idea. Seems like a bad idea. You scammed a whole bunch of people, you got caught for it, and it ruined your reputation. Why would you go back online streaming? She's live right now, apparently. What is this, Animal Crossing? What is this? What am I hearing? What am I hearing? We doing drama then? No, I'm just morbidly curious. We're gonna do theory in a second. I'm just setting up what we're doing. I kind of want to continue going through Teal, actually. I'm just very confused by this. So we got the Straussian moment up. I'm wondering, do we want to do... I don't want to do that. Let's see. Is she just in her kitchen? Like,
okay,
what?
I'm back. Yeah, okay.
Oh, she's blonde now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm already bored. Alright. Patrick Deneen, why liberalism failed. Ooh, actually, you know what? Actually, I know what I wanted to look at. Oh shit, where did I put it? God damn it. I'm gonna be really annoyed. Conservative. Oh, I put it in conservative. No, that's Patrick Deneen. I didn't put in Deleuze, did I? Oh, I might have. I might have actually. Unless I didn't allocate it. Oh, maybe I didn't allocate it. That might explain it. Sorry, I'm looking for the document we're going over. Fools, frauds, and firebrands. There we go. Okay. Why was that? Okay, I found it. I found it. Put that into right-wing studies. Okay. Boop. Boop. Boop, boop. Okay, we're in business. Sorry, I apologize about that. We're going to want screen capture. Boop. Boop. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. Why is it opening there? There we go. Okay. That's what we want. All right, good. And it's not capturing. Oh my god, this is driving me absolutely up a wall. There we go. Now we got it. Okay. Sorry, since the update, there's been OBS has been weird. It's been better in a lot of ways. I've got a lot more features, but it's been weird. It's been weird. Okay, so here's what I was interested in. I find it really fascinating, seeing how different people from different positionalities sort of interpret different philosophers, especially when they do it badly. I find that really interesting. And apparently, Roger Scruton, who, if you're not familiar with Roger Scruton, late conservative blowhard, if I'm honest, wrote a big book just trashing left-wing theorists. Fools, frauds, and firebrands, the thinkers of the new left. Okay. And in the last edition of this, apparently he has chapters on Deleuze. And I am interested because all these people, Jordan Peterson, etc., they will engage with people like Foucault because he's the spooky bald guy that's smiling at you from the bookshelves. Everybody knows Foucault. Foucault's readable. Okay, he has a reputation for being difficult, but he's readable. Deleuze is very hard if you don't actually have a good background in philosophy. If you don't have a really strong background in philosophy, Deleuze is really, really difficult, and in specific philosophers in particular. He's really hard, like really hard to get, especially if you're reading something like Anti-Oedipus. Some of his monographs are relatively accessible, but relatively accessible is the point. They are difficult. He is a hard writer. Oh, here we go. Ooh, we got a bunch of jus de l'eau here. So let's see, page 16. 290? Okay. 290, perfect. So page 16, okay? First reference to Deleuze. And they write so long. They write so long. Let's just go over this, actually. Let's go over this chapter. This is the introduction. What is left? That should be fun. And by fun, I mean horrifying. What is left? The modern use of the term left, quote-unquote, derives from the French Estates General of 1789, when the nobility sat on the king's right and the third estate on his left. It might have been the other way round. Indeed, it was the other way round for everyone but the king. However, the terms left and right remain with us and are now applied to factions and opinions within every political order. The resulting picture of political opinions spread in a single dimension can be fully understood only locally and only in conditions of contested and adversarial government. I really wish they would stop that dog from barking. Moreover, even where it captures the outlines of a political process, the picture can hardly do justice to the theories influencing that process, which form the climate of political opinion. Why therefore use the word left to describe the right as considered in this book? Why use a single term to cover anarchists like Foucault, Marxist dogmatists like Althusser, exuberant nihilists like Zizek, exuberant nihilists, and American-style liberals like Dworkin and Rorty? That's a burn. That's a burn. Oof. The reason is twofold. Oh my god, calm down. The reason is twofold. First, the thinkers I discuss have identified themselves by the very term. Second, they illustrate an enduring outlook on the world. Okay, again. Anarchists, Marxist dogmatists, nihilists, American-style liberals. But they illustrate an enduring outlook on the world. Just amazing. And one that has been a permanent feature of Western civilization, at least since the Enlightenment. Nourished by the elaborate social and political theories that I shall have occasion to discuss in what follows. Many of my subjects have been associated with the New Left, which rose to prominence during the 1960s and 70s. Nothing changed, obviously. Others form part of the broad ground of post-war political thinking, according to which the state is or ought to be in charge of society and empowered to distribute its goods. Thinkers of the New Left was published before the collapse of the Soviet Union, before the emergence of the European Union as an imperial power, and before the transformation of China into an aggressive exponent of gangland capitalism. Thinkers on the left have naturally had to accommodate these developments. The collapse of communism in Eastern Europe and the weakness of socialist economies elsewhere gave a brief credibility to the economic policies of the New Right. No, it did not. And even the British Labour Party climbed onto the bandwagon, dropping Clause 4, the commitment to state ownership from its constitution, and accepting that industry is no longer the direct responsibility of the government. For a while it even looked as though there might be an apology forthcoming from those who had devoted their intellectual and political efforts to whitewashing the Soviet Union or praising the People's Republics of China and Vietnam. But the moment of doubt was short-lived. Within a decade, the left establishment was back in the driving seat with Noam Chomsky and Howard Zinn. These are more at Scruton's level, renewing their intemperate denunciations of America. You see the general tenor of this. You take someone like that, who writes like this, and now you see how they address someone like Deleuze. And it's fascinating. The concepts that arise in normal dialogue arise from the need to compromise, to reach agreements, to establish peaceful coordination with people who do not share our projects or affections. Oh, here we go. Here we go. He's going to attack their use of specific language. We must recognize that the Marxist spectacles are no longer on the left-wing nose. Why they were removed, and by whom, it is hard to say, but for whatever cause, left-wing politics has discarded the revolutionary paradigm advanced by the New Left in favor of bureaucratic routines and the institutionalization of the welfare culture. The two goals of liberation and social justice remain in place, but they are promoted by legislation, committees, and government commissions. He's very boring. I'm observing a culture that now survives largely in its academic readouts, feeding from the jargon-ridden prose that it amassed in university libraries in the days when universities were part of the anti-capitalist struggle. But note that word. Universities were never part of the anti-capitalist struggle, by the way. Students were, and they were brutalized a lot more than they even are today. But note that word. It belongs to an enclosed vocabulary, one that entered the language with Marxism. Struggle. We got the word struggle from Marxism, and which was gradually simplified and regimented in the years when socialists were occupying the intellectual high ground. From its earliest days, the communist movement had fought over language and esteemed the theories of Marx partly because they provided convenient labels with which to brand both friend and foe. and to dramatize the conflict between them, and this habit proved contagious, so that all subsequent leftist movements were to some extent tainted by it. Indeed, the transformation of the language of politics has been the principal legacy of the left, and it is one aim of this book to rescue that language from socialist newspeak. This is what's always fascinating to me. This is how newspeak actually works in George Orwell, who's a socialist, by the way. This is how it actually works. You have the English language. You have a dictionary, say, okay? And you go through and you try to contract the amount of words in the dictionary, the amount of words that you have access to. So that more advanced concepts that could be used for resistance disappear from your lingo. You're no longer able to discuss them. They're just out of the equation. Okay? Having more and more precise terms in particular language is the opposite of newspeak. Newspeak involves a de-jargoning. Why does it involve a de-jargoning? Well, because if you don't, for example, have the ability to distinguish between freedom and something else that is characterized as being offered as the equivalent to freedom, like, let's say, what do you mean you're not free? Sure, you can't go where you want to. You can't remove yourself from this district to this district without government permission. But you can vote every 5 years, as an example. If you contract freedom and voting into one term, then the idea that freedom encompasses more than just voting is just gone. You can't even think it. You can't communicate it. You can't organize around it. His complaint about rescuing language from jargon is essentially in the same spirit as newspeak. It's rather amazing. We owe the term newspeak to the socialist George Orwell's chilling portrait of a fictitious totalitarian state. But the capture of language by the left is far older, beginning with the French Revolution and its slogans. When it took the turn that fascinated Orwell, it was with the Socialist International and the eager engagement of the Russian intelligentsia. Those who emerged triumphant from the Second International in 1889 had been granted a vision of a transformed world. This Gnostic revelation, was so clear that no argument was necessary and no argument possible that would provide it with a justifying proof. All that matters was to distinguish those who shared the vision from those who dissented, and the most dangerous were those who dissented by so small a margin that they threatened to mingle their energies with yours and so pollute the stream of action. With consent, I hope. From the beginning, therefore, labels were required that would stigmatize the enemies within and justify their expulsion. They were revisionists, deviationists, infantile leftists, utopian socialists, social fascists, and so on. And here's the thing. Justifying their expulsion, well, I mean, potentially, but they also allow you to identify, like, fine-grained distinctions in ideological position and in aims. Like, are we supposed to say, for example, that deviationists, quote-unquote, utopian socialists, and revisionists, etc., refer to the same thing? All these can be used as slurs. The division between Menshevik and Bolshevik following the Second Congress of the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party in 1904 epitomized this process. Those peculiar fabricated words, which were themselves crystallized lies, since the Mensheviks, minority, in fact composed the majority, were thereafter graven in the language of politics and the motives of the communist elite. This is so stupid. The Bolshevik Party was not distinguished by dint of how many of them there were. It was distinguished by its very insular, closed, hierarchical structure. It had a cloistered revolutionary elite that was not vulnerable to pressures from the common folk, from people in like different like material situations and so on and so forth. Fabricated words as opposed to ones handed down by God, of course. Exactly. See, that's the thing. All of this blurs into the fog of history, so he doesn't need to think. So when we get to his characterization of Deleuze being extremely, extremely difficult to read. And when, in the works of Lacan, Deleuze, and Althusser, the nonsense machine began to crank out impenetrable sentences, which nothing could be understood except that they all had capitalism as their target. That's weird, because I actually kind of thought that Anti-Oedipus had Oedipus as its target. It looked as though nothing capitalized for some reason, had at last found its voice. Henceforth, the bourgeois order would be vaporized and mankind would march victorious into the void. It's just amazing. What does he say about Nietzsche? Do we got a Nietzsche in here? Oh my god. Wow. Oh my god. In Histoire de la Folie à l'âge classique, I think it's History of Madness, Foucault gave the first glimpse of this thesis. In that book, Foucault traced the confinement of madmen to its origins in the 17th century, associating this confinement with the ethic of work and the rise of the bourgeoisie. Foucault is impatient with ordinary causal explanations and replaces them with a kind of idealist metaphysics. That's funny because actually he kind of does exactly the opposite. He does exactly the opposite, implying that it is our way of thinking things that brings them about, since things are not. He does genealogy instead of idealist metaphysics. Amazing. It's just amazing. Implying that it is our way of thinking things that brings them about, since things are not really distinct from our conceptions. He doesn't say that. Thus, he does not say that the economic reorganization of society brought about the confinement of the insane. Rather, he writes that it was in a certain experience of labor that the indissolubly economic and moral demand for confinement was formulated. I'm sorry. Is the economic organization of society separate from a certain experience of labor? Really? More important is the new slant given not only to the ideas of Marx, but to those of Kojève's Hegel, in the period that Foucault writes, in this book and henceforth. As the classical age, the madman is other. He is other because he points to the limits of the prevailing ethic and alienates himself from its demands. Therefore, there is, in his refusal to be normal, a kind of virtuous disdain. He must therefore be brought to order. Through confinement, madness is subject to the rule of reason, which is another name for the preferred form of domination. The madman now lives under the jurisdiction of those who are sane, confined by their laws and instructed by their morality. The recourse of reason in this close encounter is to reveal to madness its own truth, the truth through which reason knows it. To lack reason is, for classical thought, to be an animal. The madman must therefore be made to act the part of an animal. He is confined in a cage and used as a beast of burden. By this confrontation with his truth, quote-unquote, he is made whole. Each successive age finds a similar truth which to confront those who defy its conventions, and each age defines sanity in the way required by the prevailing system of power. Sanity is the form of power that respects... This is a very bad reading of Foucault, by the way. It is a very bad reading of Foucault. Madness is out of the cage and confronting us with our truth, quote-unquote. At the end of Foucault's drama, the gods of the French post-war Olympus enter stage left, to stick out their tongues at the bourgeoisie in the stalls. Goya, de Sade, Holderlin, Nerval, Van Gogh, Artaud, Nietzsche... all are proof for Foucault that the voice of unreason can no longer be silenced, and that the reign of bourgeois normality is over. Now we got the analysis. What should we make of this encomium of unreason? It was clear to the 18th century, according to Foucault, that while madness was seeking to express itself, it had no language with which to do so besides that provided by reason. The only phenomenology of madness lies in the consciousness of those who are sane. Surely then the 18th century had one sound intuition about the nature of madness. The province of language and the province of reason are coextensive. And if madness contains its own truths, as Foucault claims, these are essentially inexpressible. Foucault claims that there is a language of unreason and that we must attune our ears to it, yet such a language would be one in which self-reference is impossible. It would be a delirious monologue, delivered by a voice that belongs to no one. It would be nothing like the voice of Nietzsche in Twilight of the Idols, or that of Nerval in Les Chimères, I don't know what that is, which speak to us directly of the world that we share. That's fascinating because, you know what Nietzsche says in Twilight of the Idols, actually, just to be clear, which he obviously hasn't read. I hate these people. I hate these people so much. They don't read. They don't read. Like, drives me absolutely up a wall. We get on to Twilight of the Idols, okay? We go to, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? $153. Okay. Go down a little bit. We've gone over this before. There's a section in Twilight of the Idols called the Four Great Errors, okay? Get this. Watch this. Try this on for size scrutiny. Okay? You're in hell with Nietzsche, so, you know, you can watch together. The error of confusing cause and effect. No error is more dangerous than that of confusing the cause with the effect. Now, watch where he's going to go with this. I call it the genuine destruction of reason. Nevertheless, this error can be found in both the oldest and the newest habits of humanity. We even sanctify it and call it religion and morality. It can be found in every single claim formulated by religion and morality. Priests and legislators of moral law, are the authors of this destruction of reason. Here is an example everyone has heard of. Here's an example. Everyone has heard of the book in which the famous Cornero recommends his meager diet as a recipe for a long and happy and virtuous life. This is one of the most widely read books, and several thousand copies are still being printed in England every year. There's no doubt in my mind that few books, except the Bible, have wreaked as much havoc, have shortened as many lives as this well-meaning curiosity has done. The reason: confusion of cause and effect. This conscientious Italian thought that his diet was the cause of his longevity, but the preconditions for a long life, an exceptionally slow metabolism, and a minimal level of consumption, were in fact the cause of his meager diet. He was not free to eat either a little or a lot, but his frugality was not freely willed. He got sick when he ate more. But unless you are a carp, it is not only advisable but necessary to have decent meals. Scholars in this day and age, with their rapid consumption of nervous energy, would be destroyed by a regimen like Cornero's Creda Experto. I can attest to this. The most general formula at the center of all religions and moralities is do this, don't do that, then you'll be happy otherwise. Every morality, every religion is this imperative. I call it the great original sin of reason, the immortal unreason. In my mouth, this formula changes into its opposite. First example of my revaluation of all values. Someone who has turned out well, a happy one, has to perform certain acts and will instinctively avoid others. He is the physiological representative of the system he uses in dealing with people and things. In a word, his virtue is the effect of his happiness. Leading a long life, having many descendants, these are not the rewards of virtue. Rather, virtue is itself a deceleration of the metabolism that brings about, among other things, a long life with many descendants. In short, cornerism. Church and morality say, a generation, a people destroys itself through vice and luxury. My restored reason says, when a people is destroyed and becomes physiologically degenerate, this leads to vice and luxury, which is to say the need for increasingly strong and more frequent stimuli, as anyone with an exhausted nature can tell you, and oh God, can I? That's not true. My capacities for enjoyment are still fully functional. A young man becomes prematurely pale and wrinkled. His friends say some illness or another is to blame. I say the fact that he became sick, the fact that he could not fight the illness off, this was already the effect of an impoverished life, a hereditary exhaustion. Someone reading the newspapers says this. This party is destroying itself with mistakes like this. But according to my higher politics, a party that makes mistakes like this is finished. It has lost its instinctive certainty. Every mistake in every sense is the effect of a degeneration of the instincts, of a degeneration of the will. This is almost a definition of what it means to be bad. Everything good is instinctive, and consequently light, necessary, free. Effort is an objection. Gods and heroes belong to different types. In my language, light feet are the first attribute of divinity. Then he continues on to even deny the singularity of objects, calling it an extension of the soul superstition to material, right? And Nietzsche's so good. But it's just wild. Like, people like, certainly people like Scruton, people like Peterson, they love to hold up Nietzsche as like someone who is serious, someone who is grave. And he is in certain respects, but he also had a sense of humor, and he also wasn't like this. He wasn't... The idea of holding up Nietzsche as an example of a correct dogma is the most perverse thing in the world. It really is. Let's see. Deleuze is taken up on page 180 and 191. 182. Oh, here we go. Oh, we got a whole section. Oh boy. We eating good. Gilles Deleuze has received tributes from many distinguished writers. Foucault going so far as to describe the post-war period as le cycle deleuzean. Adrian Moore, one of our cleverest and most erudite, analytical philosophers, has singled him out as a major metaphysician, seemingly on a par with Frege, Wittgenstein, and Quine. Wow. He's as good as Wittgenstein, guys. I therefore hesitate to say what my conscience nevertheless urges me to say, which is that he was just as much a fraud as Lacan. Let the reader judge, however. Deleuze is of interest in the present context primarily for the use that has been made of him, which is to trundle the nonsense machine from subject to subject and topic to topic. It was really quite hypnotic, in the humanities, reducing the entire landscape to the intellectual equivalent of the aftermath of the Somme. And in that aftermath, the haunting scene of the devastation, the spirit of revolution rallies the survivors with its call to a new solidarity against the enemy. You can see how much of Peterson, by the way, is just an unaccredited repackaging of this slop. Deleuze was not, at first, a political, still less a politicized thinker, and the nonsense... Jesus Christ. What? He was not at first a political... Wow. Deleuze was not a political thinker, guys. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Deleuze was not at first a political, still less a politicized thinker, and the nonsense machine that he helped to assemble was put to political use primarily by other and less scrupulous spirits. That's his first book was on. I thought they were co-published. He did two dissertations, didn't he? He did Hume and he did Difference and Repetition. I think Difference and Repetition was published later though, right? You can correct me on that. You'd know. I wouldn't know. In a series of books devoted to the classics of Western philosophy, Deleuze established his reputation as an academic philosopher, exploring the relevance to our condition of Spinoza, Kant, and Nietzsche. That's what he did. That's the famous subtitle of Difference and Repetition. Why is Spinoza still? Carl Schmitt would be laughing at this, by the way. Actual conservative political philosophers, actual right-wing political philosophers, and actual political philosophers who are right-wing would laugh at this. Because there are some. They've got barriers in their brain. Poor bastards, they're stuck, but they can still do good work. But his major treatise, Difference and Repetition, published in 1968, shows the true nature of his thinking, presented as a rumination on the words in the title. The title derives obliquely from Heidegger, whose Being and Time was a revelation to philosophers of Sartre's generation. Really? But there's so many of books with those titles. Being and Time, also Time and Free Will, Matter and Memory, Being and Nothingness. I don't know. The question of being... Actually, was Being and Nothingness after this? Hang on. Might have been after. No, it was much earlier. Damn. Like 20 years. 25 years. Although he does immediately say that it's... he does say that that's in response to Heidegger there in the book. Actually, why do I remember him saying... I don't know if he says that, actually. Hang on. That's actually bothering me. Does he say that? Can't remember if he says that. No, you know what? I think actually the No, it was the Hume one and the Spinoza one, right? Am I wrong? It was Hume was his first book, and then it was Difference in Repetition and Expressionism in Philosophy. Yeah, yeah, it was Expressionism in Philosophy. That was his the other dissertation he had. No? Are you sure? I was sure that was the case. Hang on. Oh, damn. I'm totally off then. Um, it looks like he wrote Nietzsche and philosophy. Oh wow, yeah, I'm totally off. Difference in Repetition was 1968. His first book was Empiricism and Subjectivity in 1953, and then Nietzsche and Philosophy in 1962. I was sure that he had two books. Am I totally off? Definitely not. Okay, well I'm apparently having a brain aneurysm then. I don't know. Weird. Weird. Okay. Where did I see that then? I might just my brain might have just invented that. That's totally possible. I know because he mentions Heidegger on the first page, but I don't know if he says anything about the title being a reference to that. Like it would be kind of pretentious to even make that point because it's like it's two words. There's a lot of books called X and X. Anyways, whatever, doesn't matter. Scruton's gonna make the dive for me. So Deleuze, who was not political, just man, who was not. The title derives from Heidegger, whose being in time was a revelation to philosophers of Sartre's generation, since it seemed to revive the ancient question of being, the question of being qua being, as Aristotle put it, and to apply it directly to life in the modern world, to the problems of being here and now. Heidegger's work was, in this respect at least, the inspiration for Sartre's great Being and Nothingness, and later Alain Badiou's Being and Event. Deleuze wished to replace the idea of being and its associated notions of substance and identity with that of difference, and he took from Nietzsche the view that time is to be in some way transcended through the eternal recurrence of all that happens. In other words, through a repetition implanted deep in the order of things. Hence, being in time becomes difference in repetition. That, however, is just about as far as I got. That's as far as he got. That's as far. Why would you write this in all seriousness? That's embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. Oh my god. Just wow. Yes, exactly. This is what Nietzsche said, okay? It's in the gay science. Sorry, the no homo science. Aphorism 50. What you need to understand is that we need to turn time into a donut so we can transcend time. Like in that movie with the guy from Indiana Jones 2. Yeah. That's what Nietzsche wrote, okay? Only through the eternal recurrence can we get out of time. What? What? A repetition implanted deep in the order of things. What order of things? Aphorism 51. The eternal recurrence is in the order of things. Over there. It's there. We gotta dig it out. Dear God. It's just horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. Being qua being as in Aristotle, yeah. Yeah. These guys don't read. Look, here's the thing. Right-wing philosophers don't read. They don't read. Because here's what they know. Right-wingers are based and cool and know everything in advance, and they don't need to do any research. Left-wing thinkers are stupid, so we can just go with the cliches in their head that we got. You know, Nietzsche was a nihilist, right? Nietzsche was a nihilist, guys. We don't want to be like Nietzsche was a nihilist. He was a cool nihilist, so, you know, we respect him, but he was a nihilist. And yeah, he thought we needed to transcend time through time travel. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, he thought we need to just repeat everything, and that's what we got to do, guys. Okay, that's what we can transcend time through the eternal recurrence of all that happens. Like, just the sentence is mind-boggling. He took from Nietzsche the view that time is to be in some way transcended through the eternal recurrence of all that happens. What? What is recurring then? Deleuze claims that Western thought has hitherto been guided by the concept of identity, and that identity must now give way to difference. Hey, you know what's crazy? Nietzsche said that too. That's not original. That part's not original. That phrasing is original. That thing, though, where there's an identity illusion going on, that's not... That's right here. Look at this. Okay? Look. Error of imaginary causes. I think it's here. Is it or I think it's actually error of free will, yes. The notion of will was essentially designed with punishment in mind, which is to say the desire to assign guilt. The whole of ancient psychology, the psychology of will, was conditioned by the desire of its architects, the priests at the head of the ancient community, to establish their right to inflict punishment, or to assign the right to God. People were considered free so that they could be judged and punished, so that they could be guilty. Consequently, every act had to be thought of as willed. Every act had to be seen as coming from consciousness, which made the most fundamental counterfeit in psychology cease into the very principle of psychology. But now that we have set off in the opposite direction, now that we immoralists in particular are trying as hard as we can to rid the world of the concepts of guilt and punishment and cleanse psychology, history, nature, and social institutions and sanctions of these concepts, the most radical opponents we face are the theologians who use the concept of the moral world order to keep infecting the innocence of becoming with punishment and guilt. Christianity is a hangman's metaphysics. What is the only teaching we can have? That no one gives people their qualities, nor God nor society, parents or ancestors, not even people themselves. This final bit of nonsense was circulated by Kant. By the way, reminder, when Philosophy Tube says that Nietzsche was an anti-Semite, that's impossible, because Nietzsche did not believe that a people gave properties to people. Your nation is not the source of properties. There's a very simple way to do this. Just ask, is anti-Semitism Nietzschean? Is it consistent with Nietzsche's reason and all of his other... No, it's not. Okay, there you go. Nobody is responsible for people existing in the first place, or for the state or circumstances or environment they are in. The fatality of human existence cannot be extricated from the fatality of everything that was and will be. People are not the products of some special design, will, or purpose. They do not represent an attempt to achieve an ideal of humanity, ideal of happiness, or ideal of morality. It is absurd to want to devolve human existence onto some purpose or another. We have invented the concept of purpose. There are no purposes in reality. A person is necessary. A person is a piece of fate. A person belongs to the whole. A person only is in the context of the whole. There is nothing that can judge, measure, compare, or condemn our being. Because that would mean judging, measuring, comparing, and condemning the whole. But there is nothing outside the whole. The fact that nobody is held responsible anymore, that being is not the sort of thing that can be traced back to a causa prima, that the world is not unified as either a sensorium or a spirit, only this can constitute the great liberation. Only this begins to restore the innocence of becoming. The concept of God has been the biggest objection to existence so far. We reject God, we reject the responsibility in God. This is how we begin to redeem the world. And then earlier, I'm drawing a blank here, I think it was...
Zach Ball tipped
here we go, yes.
$13.37.
Okay, here we go, yes, it's right
Have
here.
some money.
The error of imaginary causes. Beginning with dreams, we experience a certain sensation following the sound of cannon fire in the distance, for example, and then retrospectively supply a cause for it, which often takes the form of a whole little novel with the dreamer as the protagonist. Meanwhile, the sensation remains in a type of resonance. It waits, as it were, until our causal instinct allows it to come into the foreground, at which point it has stopped being accidental. It is meaningful, quote-unquote. The cannon fire takes place inside a causal nexus, in what seems like a temporal reversal. The later event, the motivation, is experienced first, often with hundreds of details that flash past, followed by the shot. What has happened? The ideas that were created by a certain physical condition were mistaken for the cause of that condition. In fact, we do the same thing when we are awake. Most of our general feelings, every type of inhibition, pressure, tension, explosion in the give and take of our organs, and particularly the state of nervous sympathicus, excite our causal instinct. We want there to be a reason why we are in the particular state we are in, why we are feeling good or bad. It is never enough to just establish the fact that we are in a particular state. We only let the state register. We only become conscious of it once we have assigned it a type of motivation. The memory that unconsciously becomes activated in such cases is what leads back to earlier states of the same type and the associated causal interpretation, not their causality. Of course, memory also interjects the belief that the ideas, the accompanying train of consciousness, had been the cause. This is how a particular causal interpretation comes to be habituated. This interpretation, in fact, inhibits an investigation into the cause and even precludes it. This is, by the way, is very important for anyone who thinks someone like Deleuze, for instance, is denying the possibility of actually gaining knowledge of things, because he's not. The entire point of it is this. Human beings are conditioned by our environment, as all organisms are, right? Oh God, I need my earphones in. I can't see your I can hear your donations if I don't have my earphones in. My sincerest apologies, Zach Ball. Hang on, one moment.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
Zach Ball tipped $13.37. Have some money.
Thank you very much. Reminder, by the way, if you want to help support the channel, we can't do super chats anymore. So if you want to donate, donate through the Stream Elements link, posted in the chat by Nightbot and pinned to the top. Thank you very much. Psychological explanation for this. Familiarizing something unfamiliar is comforting, reassuring, satisfying, and produces a feeling of power as well. Sorry, I was about to finish a previous thought. Anyone who says that theorists like Foucault and Deleuze or whatnot are defying the existence of the possibility of explaining things in a useful way. The possibility of there being better or worse explanations for things, right? No. Human beings are conditioned by our environment. Like all organisms, we evolved for a particular environment. Our organs of sense and so on and so forth, all of our parts with which we engage and perceive the world, they are geared towards the interests of an organism that has to live in a particular environment, not towards metaphysical truth. Which is why an empty room, I love this Bergson example, which is why we perceive an empty room as an empty room, and we don't think about the air that we can even feel when we're in it. It's just nothing. Why? Because we cognize things in terms of our interests. There's tons of stuff in an empty room. Between myself and my screen right now, it looks like there's nothing to me, because that's how my brain works, but there's tons of stuff. There's no empty space. There's no vacuum. Psychological explanation for this. Familiarizing something unfamiliar is comforting, reassuring, satisfying, and produces a feeling of power as well. Unfamiliar things are dangerous, anxiety-provoking, upsetting. The primary instinct is to get rid of these painful states. First principle, any explanation is better than none. Since it is basically a matter of wanting to get rid of unpleasant thoughts, people are not exactly particular about how to do it. The first idea that can familiarize the unfamiliar feels good enough to be considered true, proof of pleasure, strength, as the criterion of truth. So the causal instinct is conditioned and excited by feelings of fear. Whenever possible, the question, why, won't point to the cause as such, but instead will point to a particular type of cause, a reassuring, comforting cause. Here's a question. What does it mean when you don't know if you're angry or sad? Does it mean you are either angry or sad and are confused about it? The first consequence of this need is that a causation gets attributed to something we are already familiar with, something we have already encountered and registered in memory. This forecloses the possibility that anything novel, alien, or previously unencountered can be a cause. So we are not looking for just any type of explanatory cause, we are looking for a chosen, preferred type of explanation, one that will most quickly and reliably get rid of the feeling of unfamiliarity and novelty, the feeling that we are dealing with something we have never encountered before, the most common explanation. Result, a certain type of causal attribution becomes increasingly prevalent, gets concentrated into a system, and finally emerges as dominant, which is to say, completely rules out other causes and explanations. The banker thinks immediately of his business, the Christian of sin, the girl of her love. Nietzsche is a sexist. That's a charge he can take. But here, okay. It's like I can't fathom, like in all seriousness, as a scholar going. He got as far as the title. Deleuze claims that Western thought has hitherto been guided by the concept of identity and that identity must now give way to difference. We read this already. What does that mean? Difference and identity, whether numerical or qualitative, are interdefinable. And someone who deploys the one concept necessarily deploys the other. Since Aristotle, however, identity, something's being the thing that it is, has been treated as logically prior to all predications. What? Something being the thing logically prior to all predications. Including the predication of difference. That doesn't make any sense. Being what? Wait. No. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is a Rand. Is he a Rand dude? That sounds like Rand. Here's the thing. We'll get over the absurdity of this first, and then we'll look to see if he cites Rand, okay? I want you to think about this. A thing's being that it is prior to the predication of being different from other things. Think about that for 5 seconds. Hold that in your mind for 5 seconds, and you will have an aneurysm, so don't do that. Don't do that. You will literally die, okay? Don't think that. This is mind-boggling. Okay, so if we go to the index. No Ayn Rand, none referenced. Not referenced. Just wow. Wow. What page were we on? Oh shit. Okay, whatever. Hang on. We were on 180. 181, I think. For identity is presupposed by individuation, the act of singling something out as an object of reference. Oh. What? Oh my god. Okay, what's the link you sent me? Oh fuck. Yeah. Yeah, he is. Okay. Okay. We got him, boys. Oh my god. I hate these people. Altruism and Selfishness. This article appeared in the October 2007 issue of the American Spectator, where Mr. Scruton is a monthly columnist. The first piece of moral advice that parents used to give their children was contained in the golden rule: do as you would be done by. Who told you this? Who said that this is what parents taught their kids? Christian parents back this up with the parable of the Good Samaritan. Jewish parents with the commandment to love thy neighbor as thyself. Enlightened parents with their own version of the categorical imperative. It all seemed very simple. After all, what is morality about if not about living with others? How can you live with others if you don't treat them as equals? Two powerful influences, oh no, have disturbed that old equilibrium. Oh God. The first is the gospel of selfishness, preached by Ayn Rand. Don't listen to that socialist claptrap, Rand told us. It's just a ploy of the parasitical to curtail the freedom of the heroes and to seize their goods. Rand's fiery mixture of free market economics and Nietzschean defiance proved intoxicating to a generation struggling to come to terms with the New Deal and the growth of the welfare state. Stop that. Don't frickin' do that. Don't scroll me to the bottom of the page, thank you. Now I'm definitely not going to sign up. By announcing the virtue of selfishness, she reminded her readers that creation comes before distribution and that creation needs a motive, and what motive will drive people to take the risks required by wealth creation unless it be self-interest. Oh, God. Rand was a terrific intellect, in every sense of the word terrific. She fired her ideas like missiles into all the citadels of opinion, with vivid characters as their advocates and engaging dramas as their proof. Her novels and essays may not be the highest literature, but they grab the reader by the throat and defy him to say so. To say what? Wait, she didn't say anything. You didn't tell me to say anything. And when the still small voice speaks up at last, questioning whether it is exactly selfishness that is needed by a free economy, or whether there are not other aspects to human life, other things to strive for, other sources of satisfaction than the satisfaction of me, the reply comes, of course, that's exactly what I am saying. When a father works to provide for his children, when a woman spends her money on a person she loves, even when a man lays down his life for his friend, all this is selfishness, doing what one wants to do, because one has the motive to do it, because this is what the eye requires. This is what the eye... Nietzsche famously is a big advocate of there being an eye that requires things. The opposite of selfishness is not disinterested love, but the kind of slave labor that the state demands in order to be altruistic with the surplus. An economy based on selfishness is one in which people also give. An altruistic economy is one in which they merely steal. This guy sucks. This guy sucks so bad. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, did I close that window again? Damn it. Nope. No, I didn't. I just moved it over here for some reason. Okay. Ugh. Oh God. Jordan Peterson had a talk with Stephen B. Hicks recently. 4 months ago. Oh. Oh, how did I miss that? Oh, that's awful. That is awful. I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be right back, guys. Hang on. gonna be too warm for cardigans. I have to change up my whole wardrobe. All right. Where'd you go? Went to get water. Okay. By the way, reminder, we're an hour in. If you want to support the channel, we are demonetized on YouTube. You can, however, still support me on Patreon. There are perks. You can also still super chat through stream elements there. And what's great is that I get all the money as opposed to YouTube minus the PayPal fees. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's finish this off quickly because I'm getting really exhausted by this man. For identity is presupposed by individuation. Reflecting on what that involved led Kant to his view that the fundamental objects of identification are spatio-temporal substances. Wait. Substances. And Kant's argument has been revived in recent times by Strawson, Quine, Wiggins, and Kripke in works that are clearly and interestingly argued, which we won't talk about at all because we're not competent to. Even if Deleuze, who often hints that he has read everything, does not mention them. Look at that. Bastard. No Quine, damn. Ugh. Ugh. He didn't reference these. He didn't reference, oh no. In the light of this tradition, one may well ask how difference can displace identity from its fundamental position in anchoring the frame of reference. What would it be to single out difference as more basic than identity, so that being different from other things, rather than identical to the specific thing, is understood as the primary way of being? Well, you know what you could do is you could read the book. You know, you could actually read the book. Adrian Moore tells us that Deleuze is drawing attention to positive differences, features of the object in which difference cannot be defined qualitatively, since it is itself a basic fact. Thus, in the matter of intensive magnitude, such as heat and cold, two objects can differ even while having all their qualities in common. They are both hot, for example, even though one is hotter than the other. However, that does nothing to establish the possibility that differences, quote-unquote, could provide a new foundation for ontology. A new way of understanding the basic way things are. To attribute these intensive qualities to an object, we still need the act of individuation that tells us which object we are referring to. God, I hate this man. No, because you actually missed a major part of Kant, by the way. That's actually really important. This is... Oh my god, man. You do not have access to things like that. That's not how that works. Your engagement with objects are objects as they are present before your perception. They're not just there. Deleuze's thesis is put forward as deeply subversive. We were imprisoned by sameness, have been released into difference. But does this really subvert the entire previous course of Western metaphysics? No, it doesn't, actually. It's continuous with Spinoza, Hume, Kant, and Nietzsche. And if so, to what effect? Deleuze's language covers the topic in such mystery that it is impossible to say. Rather than the repeated and the repeater, the object and the subject, we must distinguish two forms of repetition. In every case, repetition is difference without a concept. But in one case, the difference is taken to be only external to the concept. Is a difference between objects represented by the same concept falling into the indifference of space and time. In the other case, the difference is internal to the idea. It unfolds as pure movement, creative of a dynamic space and time which corresponds to the idea. The first, repetition, is repetition of the same, explained by the identity of the concept or representation. The second includes difference and includes itself in the alterity of the idea and the heterogeneity of a presentation. Was that unreadable to you? There's a footnote here. Why is there a footnote? 37. Is he going to reference it or is he going to comment? Are there no notes in this PDF? Oh, they're footnotes. God, okay. That's annoying. So 37. So difference of repetition. 26 to 7. Really? Okay. I think he just picked this out at random. I don't think he even understands what he's saying. Which, to be fair, is what he's saying. So long as we take difference to be conceptual difference, intrinsically conceptual, and repetition to be an extrinsic difference between objects represented by the same concept, it appears that the problem of their relation may be resolved by the facts. Are there repetitions? Yes or no? Or is every difference indeed intrinsic and conceptual in the last instance? Hegel ridicules Leibniz for having invited the court ladies to undertake experimental metaphysics while walking in the gardens, to see whether two leaves of a tree could not have the same concept. Replacing the court ladies by forensic scientists, no two grains of dust are absolutely identical. No two hands have the same distinctive points. No two typewriters have the same strike. No two revolvers score their bullets in the same manner. Why, however, do we feel that the problem is not properly defined so long as we look for the criterion of a principium individuationis in the facts? It is because a difference can be internal yet not conceptual, as the paradox of symmetrical objects shows. A dynamic space must be defined from the point of view of an observer tied to that space, not from an external position. There are internal differences which dramatize an idea before representing an object. Difference here is internal to an idea, even though it be external to the concept which represents an object. That is why the opposition between Kant and Leibniz seems much less strong to the extent that one takes account of the dynamic factors present in the two doctrines. If, in the forms of intuition, Kant recognized extrinsic differences not reducible to the order of concepts, these are no less internal, even though they cannot be regarded as intrinsic by the understanding, and can be represented only in their external relation to space as a whole. In other words, following certain neo-Kantian interpretations, there is a step-by-step internal dynamic construction of space which must precede the representation of the whole as a form of exteriority. Psychology just doesn't exist for this boob. That's basically the problem. This is one of the reasons why, by the way, people who rely on Aristotle are present. Aristotle is fantastically useful to read. I don't like it when people say, oh, don't read Aristotle, don't read that stuff, don't read Hobbes. Like, no, read that stuff, because it's also constitutive of modern philosophy. It's actually super important to get these people if you're trying to understand modern philosophy. However, scroll? Oh, did I not scroll enough for you? Did I not scroll enough for you? Am I not scrolling enough for you, guys? I've got difference repetition in my hand. I'm not reading it on the page. It's like, okay. I don't like people who say, don't read Aristotle, so on and so forth, because they're outdated or whatever, or they're old or conservative or whatever, because A, first of all, they're not, but B, it's an anti-intellectual attitude that I just have no respect for. However, people who stop at Aristotle and rely on Aristotle and are dogmatists about Aristotle, they're the dumbest idiots on the planet. Why? Well, there's a reason why people wrote philosophy after Aristotle. That's that Aristotle started like this. Some people talk about it this way, some people talk about it this way. Here's the most consistent way that actually fits with our experience of the world, therefore we say this. And here's the problem. Aristotle did not recognize a distinction between the manifold of space and time as it exists in our experience of the world and the world that is not of our experience, the thing that is prior to it and outside of it. Stopping at Aristotle is so Middle Ages. Even Aquinas developed on Aristotle, to be clear. Like medieval philosophers are also very interesting. Very interesting. If you read Peirce, for example, you're going to go a lot into scholastics, and they're very interesting for that reason. But you don't stop there at all. If you stop there, you say really dumb things. And people like really dumb things because they don't require you to think very hard. All of this is just... The only purpose for material like this is to tranquilize people who are made anxious by the existence of philosophical material that seems to be getting some popularity with a certain group of people that are politically opposed to you. Tranquilizes that anxiety and tells you, you know what? You don't need to understand it. It's all bullshit. It's okay. You're fine. You're off the hook. You're off the hook. You don't need to read Aristotle either, because you might want to read Aristotle specifically to, you know, dig into alternative ways of thinking than the stuff you're reading here to further understand how they deviate. Or what Aristotle might say in response if he was presented with this information and had to reconcile it with his own writing. Which we largely don't have, by the way, but that's a different topic. Here's what actually happens. Oh, Roger Scruton's read it. It's okay. We're safe. Turn it off. Peirce did like his Duns Scotus. He didn't like Aquinas. He liked his Duns Scotus. But yeah, you're off the hook. It's okay. It's okay. And they'll buy things, and they'll be very proud of themselves for reading too. This is where it gets perverse. They'll be very proud of themselves for reading lots of books, but they didn't read stuff that challenged them. They cherry-picked stuff that told them what they already thought, or more accurately, gave them excuses to not think stuff that's very uncomfortable. Here's the worst part, they miss out. Because there's not just reasons for pessimism that you find in critical theory, there's also reasons for optimism at deep levels. The world's not as impoverished as the zero-sum game that like a Hobbesian or an Aristotelian will fall into. There's a reason why Nietzsche characterized Christian thinking as nihilistic. A lot of Christians as nihilistic and so on and so forth. Like, these are not lovers of misery. These are people who had a drive to understand things for reasons. They don't just have a fetish for, and yes, this is how much we really do suck. That's not what they wrote at all. Someone like Deleuze is getting deep into the weeds of metaphysics, but he's going off the back of people who are actually tremendously optimistic and positive. Nietzsche is a very, this is going to sound weird because this is not his reputation, he's a very uplifting philosopher, like genuinely. Genuinely. Bergson's more superficially so, but they're very similar in that respect. Aristotle's still the last philosopher I'd grab a drink with. I don't think Aristotle would be that fun to be around, to be honest. I feel like, apparently Hobbes was very personable. People liked Hobbes. Kant threw parties. Kant was known for his parties. I feel like Nietzsche might have been a bit stressful. Bergson apparently was lovely. Just a all-around lovely guy. Imagine if Jordan Peterson was actually a philosopher and an actual thinker who actually did his work and actually was able to stand up to the smartest, the best, the most illustrious scientists and philosophers of his day and hold his own, and wrote and win even, and wrote like incredibly philosophically and ethically insightful books that were very well researched, that were, for the time at the very least, very up to date. Because he was that kind of figure back then. He was a very, 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 very popular philosopher. He caused the first traffic jam in Paris. People would be so excited about going to his lectures. So imagine if Jordan Peterson was Jewish. Maybe. Most good philosophers are Jewish. It's just a weird fact of the matter. At least a lot of the ones I'm reading lately. What have you got? You got Spinoza, you got Marx, you got Bergson, you got who else? I don't know. But, you know, we'll tip the scale a little bit. We'll put Hannah Arendt on there. Walter Benjamin. There you go. There's a lot. There's a lot. A lot of Jewish philosophers. Maimonides, that's way back, though. Okay. You know what? You know what I kind of want to do? What haven't we looked at here? What haven't we looked at by Philosophy Tube yet? We didn't see Was Nietzsche Mega yet, did we? Oh, God, I don't want to. I don't want... Okay, but if we do this, I'm going to be playing Alien Isolation afterwards, okay? That's the deal. How bad is this? Brooks, how bad was this? I can't Elden Ring with you tonight, Callum, sorry. Sorry. It's basically the same video, is it? What's the,
Least of all, a family member for their...
What's the bibliography like? Is it the same one? Looks like the same bibliography, which is strange, because... No, it's a little different. It's a little different. We've taken out, Wendy Brown is suspiciously missing. No, there we go. Nietzsche for Politics and Why Nietzsche Still. There we go. Okay. Do we make use of any of these here? What's this? J.D. Vance quote. Oh god, this is gonna suck. If it's more of the same, I'd rather watch, I'd rather see Who Else She Butchers, because every philosophy video of hers that I've seen when I've looked at it closely has been terrible. And not just terrible, like she's actively like not known what she's even referencing. It's been crazy. Wow, she doesn't do a lot of philosophy videos, does she, for a channel called Philosophy Tube? Book recommendations, Why We Can't Build Better Cities. Featuring Not Just Bikes, so they did the work on that one I'm getting from this. We're making a vampire movie. A man plagiarized my work. How to go from YouTube to Hollywood. Make shit up and go for the lowest common denominator. There we go. Stoic philosophy. I haven't read much Stoic philosophy. I can't speak to that one. The hidden rules of modern society. You know what? I'm gonna turn those notifications off. We don't need subscribing notifications. That's gonna get old fast. The hidden rules of modern society. I think we've covered this one before.
Stay.
But I want to cover it differently now. Oh my god, look at that bibliography. Look at that monstrosity. This video is 44 minutes long. What are you doing with all this? And you're referencing Philosophy Tube, Ignorance, and you're referencing videos. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What have we got here? We've got Rousseau. Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. Just Leviathan, okay. Oh boy. This stuff is relatively easy. It would be strange if she got this wrong, but already the fact that she's padding it out like this in the bibliography tells me, yeah. But she's got a defensive mechanism now, because it's music by epidemic sound, so. It'll demonetize my video, oh no! Oh no! You complained about the references last time too. Yeah, because, like, look. How many references is this? 1, 2, 3. James Tully rediscovered. Oh my, I've met James Tully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We didn't get along. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. 47. This is a 44-minute long video. There are more references than there are minutes in this video. Have you ever covered Eternalized? I used to wake up to those auto-playing and they seem pretty good, but I'm a dipshit. Link me, I'll take a look at sometime. That's more than a book a minute. I guess they're not all books, but like, we got Gender Trouble in here. Really? We know how she did Gender Trouble last time. Let's see, let's take a look at the transcript here. I probably won't do this tonight because I've been streaming for so long today. I'm really tired. Butler. Really? Only occurs, it doesn't occur in the transcript? Maybe they've changed it. Butler. Really? Gender. Then why is Judith Butler in the... Why is Judith Butler... Feminist critiques, okay. It'll either be in critical race theory or in feminist critiques then. This is really annoying. That is so annoying. Why? Lady, you have less than 1 minute per reference in your bibliography. You can eat the apple after recording. Why? I don't need this. I don't need this.
This book is The Sexual Contract by Carol Pateman. It's a classic of second-wave feminism from 1988. Pateman studied social contract theory, and she has a few notes. In this section of the video, I'd like to take a detailed look at her work. You may not agree with everything she says. I certainly don't, but it will be provocative. Pateman's general thesis is that the story of the social contract, this supposedly radical idea...
Oh yeah, we did cover this. Okay. How do you get Judith Butler in here? Hang on, what's this quote? That's not Judith Butler. Okay, there's no reference to Butler in the transcript, so is she just gonna, like,
the male sex, political control over women.
Hang on, I'm gonna fast forward this.
Everything she says. I certainly don't. But
Wow, she talks at a normal pace when you put it at 1.5.
it will be provocative. Pateman's general thesis is that the story of the social contract, this supposedly radical idea about free people agreeing, is first of all a lie, but secondly, it hides the truth about how society really operates. In particular, as a feminist, she focuses on the ways in which what happens to women gets buried in the fine print. She says there's the official social contract, and then underneath, there's a second sexual contract, the hidden rules which give men, the male sex, political control over women, the female sex. This idea of there being a second hidden contract has been really influential in the last 40 years of philosophy, especially in critical race theory, as we'll see later on. Remember the state of nature, the idea we talked about earlier? It's whatever comes naturally to human beings and society is everything built on top. Well, Pateman points out that a lot of the classic theorists...
Why don't you have a Cash App up? Should I put a Cash App up? I have PayPal. You can just PayPal me. That's probably easier. Cash App's not available in Canada. Right, I've been asked this before. Cash App is not available in Canada. Sunday, what will you do if PT puts out a hit piece on you? I will celebrate. We'll have made it, guys. We did it. That's the dream, okay? At last, a worthy opponent.
made some pretty big and pretty political assumptions about the nature of women, like a lot of men did back then. John Locke said that women are natural subjects. We're born to do what we're told. Rousseau said that we can't be rational and objective like men are because we're too bimbo-brained. Even though the state of nature is supposed to be before society, there's some cross-contamination going on here. According to the classic theorists, the social contract is something that men do. Men agree to make society. Women can't. That's just our nature. So we get to live in it. Specifically, we get to inhabit the roles that we are naturally suited for, according to men. We get to be their wives and their mothers. And that's a crucial detail. Pateman says this wasn't an accidental oversight. These philosophers didn't just forget that women existed.
That's true, by the way. If you read Emile, boys and girls get different educations. He's sexists. Yeah, that's fair.
The reason we're not at the table is because we're what's on the menu. Part of society's job, she says, is to regulate men's access to our
I'll
body.
make a PayPal hopefully by next time you're streaming. Thank you very much. Yeah, again, if you want to super chat the channel, you can PayPal me through Stream Elements. That's the best way to do it. You can also support the channel through Patreon. I'm going to look for better alternatives in the meantime, but for the time being, at the very least, Stream Elements doesn't take any cut, whereas YouTube took 30%. So.
Bodies for sex and reproduction. Every man is endowed by his creator with an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of pussy. The hidden...
Okay, so there's not going to be a reference to Butler in here. It's just not going to happen. So this is a waste of time. It's just another bullshit bibliography. That's really frustrating. That's really annoying. There's really just not much here. There's actually so little here. Queer philosophy tube. Okay. Okay, maybe. Let's take a look. Let's see. What have we got here? This is an old one. Wow, this is free transition. Okay. Look how small. Oh, those are okay. All right. She's been doing this for a while. What do we have?
This was happening just 1 year after a lesbian woman in Oregon was burned to death in a hate crime, and the government was still largely ignoring the...
Yeah, I have a strong suspicion. I don't really want to go through these ones. I feel like that's in bad taste, but I have a strong suspicion if I were to go through these. I'm going to find just... I don't think this is a recent trend where she just doesn't research. But there's nothing here. It's just it's Wozniak Mag and it's the same shit. So I just don't care. It's boring. It's boring. Her social constructs video references Butler in the video. Really? Where's this? Because it'll be interesting to see how she handles that. That's an easier one to get. Social constructs. If you can't understand social constructs, you're an idiot. Like, I'm just full stop. Like, it's literally. If something depends upon the interaction between multiple parties to exist, like an economy, like science, like academic disciplines, like language, then it's a social construct. It depends on an interaction in order to emerge in the world as a thing, and in order to be sustained as a thing. That's really easy to get. Like, it's really easy to get. People are saying, like, oh, nothing's a social construction. It's really weird, especially when you see people with, like, who are sensibly educated. Like, King Crocoduck made a big video called A Naturalist Nuke Against Social Construction. And it's like, dude, you are expressing this in language. If you were by yourself, not only would you have no one to talk to with this language, therefore would lose its quality of being a tool for communication, it would not be a coherent idea. That's not a thing you could do. Talking is not a thing that would exist in the world. It's just, it's crazy. I hate these videos so much.
Body modification work. Welcome to Philosophy Tube. Every now and again when I'm out and about in the world, I'll see somebody say something and immediately think, that's got to be an episode of the show. Usually it's somebody very passionately defending a philosophical viewpoint without necessarily realizing the depth of what they are saying. And to me, that's like the bat signal. I'd grab my tools and I'd go to work. I want to pop the hood on what they've said and take a look at all the philosophy inside. And today, I have found a doozy. There's a British website called Mumsnet. It's a forum for parents. And a while ago, there was a thread that started with, "Mother is a social construct. Discuss." And one lady wrote, "Carrying and birthing my child was not a social construct." And I saw that and I was like, Philosophy Tube time, baby. This lady was actually making a metaphysical claim. Metaphysics is the bit of philosophy that broadly looks at existence. So, if ethics is, how do I be a good driver? And aesthetics is, how do I make my car look cool? Metaphysics is, what are cars? What are they made of? How do they work? If you were to take a class...
So the correct use of Butler here would not be, for example, that the quote-unquote facts underlying of there being a process taking place in which a child is carried and birthed, etc., is a social construct in the sense that in the absence of social formations and interactions and language, etc., it would not exist as such. The argument would be you have linked the idea of motherhood to this thing. This notion of motherhood and its connection to these things is socially constructed and so on and so forth. Like, we don't generally regard as social constructions things, for example, that are common between species that don't communicate with each other. We're typically talking about things that are emergent from discourse and language. So if she's using it that should be very easy to get.
You might look at things like causation, free will, space, and time. I once had a metaphysics lecture where the professor argued that time does not exist.
Did you now? Really? Really? You don't say. Editor, that's a thumbnail shot. Oh.
Which was very funny because, no joke, he turned up 10 minutes late. So when I saw that comment...
Professor, you say time doesn't exist, and yet you turned up 10 minutes late. Yeah, checkmate.
I wondered two things. Firstly, what is a social construct? And secondly, why do people sometimes have such strong feelings about them?
Sunday, there are some awful people in uni philosophy departments. Oh, don't worry. I've been in a uni philosophy department. I am aware. I have experienced awful people in uni philosophy departments. You don't need to sell me on this.
And your seatbelts.
I'm gonna pretend canonically that the D and G on her glasses
Fasten your seatbelts.
means Deleuze and Guattari, just to make Brooks mad, okay?
Philosophers draw a useful distinction between an object and its properties. This car is silver. It has the property being silver. I
Actually, not all philosophies draw a distinction between an object and its properties, but okay.
could paint it a different color, take that property away, give it a new one, but it would still be the same object. You might well wonder, how many of the properties can we take away before the object is gone? If I give this car new paint, new engine, new brakes, new electricals, is it still the same car? That's the kind of question a metaphysician would think about. For now, though, you understand this distinction between an object and its properties. And there's different kinds of properties too. Some we would say are intrinsic. That means you can't really separate the object from the property. It's an intrinsic property of triangles that they have 3 sides. If you take that away, it's not a triangle anymore. Others we would say are relational. This car has the property being next to me. But if I move, then it doesn't have that property anymore, because it depends on my location. If this car was my favorite, we would say that it has the property being my favorite, which is not only relational, but depends on my feelings rather than my location. And now, here's the million-dollar question. What kind of property are things like being a woman, being a man, being black, white, gay, straight, whatever? Are they intrinsic? Are they relational? Are they something else? What do they depend on? They are pretty important. I guarantee that properties like that have shaped your entire life. They've sure as hell shaped mine. So, what the heck are they? In offering my theory of social categories, the aim is to reveal the cogs and belts and arrangements of parts in machines that often are oppressive. To start solving this puzzle, we can do something that philosophers love. And if you enjoy this, then you
That quote had nothing to do with what you say.
should absolutely study metaphysics, because this is like half of it. Imagine another Earth called Earth 2.
Oh my god.
And on Earth 2, they
What
have
was
all
that quote? It was from Asta. Oh, do you want to find the source to be the opposite? Well, I'm familiar with Asta. Well, I'm downloading it. It'll be a minute.
To start solving this puzzle, we can do something that philosophers Schmite. Schmite is very simple. There's 2 kinds of people on Earth 2, bigs and minis. Bigs is any adult over 5 feet tall, and minis is anyone under. And let's say that whether you're a big or a mini really affects your life on Earth 2. Like if
The
you're
smirk on her face when she says Earth 2. Yeah, I know. It's like... Ugh. It just makes me so mad. Alright. Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Also, by the way, when you cite something that's like a big, giant-ass book, general good practice... What the frick is it? Is to actually, like, say where in the book you found it, right? Because just so you know... It's not that big a book, but it's like, it's big enough. It's like, look. Like, it's just from this. Like it's a single essay. Meanwhile, the book is like... Oh, shoot. I didn't put it into the thing. Hang on. Meanwhile, the book is like this. It's like Okay. Okay. That's, seems a little silly to just say, oh, it's in here, when you're talking about, like, where is it? Where is it? I don't know. What's she actually saying? What's the context? I don't know. I can't know because she didn't tell me. I have to literally, oh, wait, that's why it was cut that way. Okay, that makes sense. I have to literally Control Tab and put in
social category.
in offering my theory of social. Okay. In offering my theory of social. And hope that it can find it. Here we go. Okay. Wow. Wow. It's on page 4. Just like, okay. My motivation for giving a metaphysics of social categories is fueled by the awareness that, while social categories can be a positive source of identity and belonging, they often are oppressive, and membership in them can put serious constraints on a person's life options. So, in offering my theory of social categories, the aim is to reveal the cogs and belts and arrangements of parts and machines that often are oppressive. Doing so also serves to support work done in the humanities and social sciences on the role of social construction in generating and upholding oppressive practices and institutions. While it has become commonplace in many academic disciplines to say that various categories are socially constructed, a defensible theory of social construction that can support those claims has been lacking. There is an increased interest among philosophers in engaging with these positions, but so far attempts at such an engagement have done little to alleviate... Oh my god, why is it doing that thing? Why is it doing that thing? I don't want to... I want to scroll. Let me scroll. Where's the thing? Enable scrolling. There we go. Okay. Why does it default to that? That's so annoying. Okay. But so far, attempts at such an engagement have done little to alleviate a widespread skepticism in philosophical circles, where it is commonly held that the claim that something is socially constructed, understood as a metaphysical thesis, is at best false and worse incoherent. I hope that the framework I offer can support social constructionist claims about the various categories we find ourselves in, and that I thereby give the skeptics a defensible theory to engage with. It just doesn't have a meaning to this. Like this is a statement of her goal in the book. Like, stating her goal in the book. Like, show me her argument in the book. Like, is she going to bring it up again? Actually, that's a good question. Is she going to bring it up again? Let's see. So if I go to the transcript. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, okay. I'd have to dig through this. We bring up Butler, though, apparently. Let's see. Not a lot. Not in the transcript, apparently. Really? Okay, that's interesting. How about Judith? Same deal. Huh. Gender trouble. Comes up twice here. Wow. Why is she citing Judith Butler in here, but not in here? Simone de Beauvoir, La deuxième sexe. Wow. Oh my god. Wait, are we gonna get a history of how she started Okay. Okay.
There's definitely some aspects of being a mother that you've invented. mean, there's nature, you've got your natural properties, yeah.
What is that citation? There's definitely some parts of being a mother that are invented. Here's Simone de Beauvoir's book with the French title for some reason. Just in the corner. Not going to reference a page, not going to reference a quote, it's just there. Like, why? What's the point? Why would you do that? That's such a weird thing to do. That's so weird.
That you've been
Okay, hang on. So, wait. Okay, now that's where it occurs. That's not how you cite things, Abigail. You don't just say a thing that isn't said by an author and just put the title of their book in the corner. That's not how that works.
natural thing that happens before they get assigned big or mid. They have a concept of height is because they care about schmite. The act of measuring someone's height isn't a neutral thing that happens before they get assigned big or mini. When you measure something, you're already assuming that there is something there worth measuring. So
Wow. What? Wow. Okay. Like, I don't want to judge the statement here because I don't know the context of this. So I don't know if this is belied by some previous statement where this is a joke. But I'm sorry. Abigail, you are citing Judith Butler as the source for a hypothetical that you made up. Why are you just Judith Butler, gender trouble? It's just Why is she saying that? That's not how you cite things. It'd be better if you didn't cite things, just talk. The only reason for this to be here is so you can pretend, I got this out of a book. But we know you didn't get it out of a book, because I saw your coverage of Judith Butler. Ugh. Like, I can't stress this enough. She just flung. There's just 2,000 pages, just right there. Yeah, that's all. That's it. It's just up there. This is a 600-page book, Simone de Beauvoir, The Second Sex. Just no reference, no citation, just look.
to buy each other those, get out of town. There's definitely some aspects of being a mother that you've invented. I mean, there's nature, you've got your natural properties, yeah? But then you guys, you've added a whole bunch of stuff on top of that. You're doing augmented reality shit, like projecting extra properties onto the world.
I do gotta see the context for this one, though, okay? Hang on. Let's...
I mean, we understand skin color and reproductive organs, yeah. We're not erasing anybody's biology or anything like that, but we understand skin.
Oh boy, oh boy, hang on. Oh no. Oh no.
Under. And let's say that whether you're a big or a mini really affects your life on Earth too. Like if you're a big, you can get a better job, you can get a nicer house, you're allowed to marry whoever you like. If you're a mini,
oh,
life
this is
hard.
good.
Suppose we were to meet the people of Earth too, and we said, Schmite is just a social construct. Being a big or being a mini, those are clearly relational properties. They depend on how other people feel about you. They might say, no, it's not. It's not about feelings. It's objectively observable. Look, I have a tape measure. I can tell whether someone is a big or a mini. Reaching tall things on my shelf is not a f***ing social construct. But we might come back and say, okay, yeah, you can measure somebody's height. Nobody's denying that. But what we're driving at is, why do you care? Why have you
Oh, really? Really? That's what they're that's what they're driving at. Judith Butler's famous book, Why Do You Care? Yes, okay.
constructed your social systems around this feature. Maybe you've got a good reason for it, but on Earth 1, we don't do that. We have the property being tall, but we don't have the property being a big or being a mini. So you guys must have invented them. And all the Earth 2 people will be like, you guys are weird. Meanwhile, the people of Earth 0 are looking at us going, whoa, what's all this stuff about race and sex? I mean, we understand skin color and reproductive organs, yeah, we're not erasing anybody's biology or anything.
We understand reproductive organs. We understand skin color and reproductive organs, okay? Those are kosher. We get those. Those are just there. Those are just given. They're just reproductive organs. Okay. Imagine putting just Butler as a reference, just in the corner of your screen. Oh yeah, we know there's reproductive organs there, guys. They're just there. They're just there.
Anything like that, but you guys divided your whole population and you based your whole society around this? Why? And maybe we'd say...
Yeah, sure there are races and sure there are sexed bodies, but why do you care? That's what Butler's about.
Well, it's
I expected you streaming in Twitch. I'll be streaming in Twitch later when we're doing the gaming thing. I don't stream on Twitch when we're doing like political stuff because that's not safe for Twitch.
Evolutionary psychology, you know? On Earth 1, some of us can carry children, some of us can't, so we evolve different societal roles and we make that distinction. Carrying and birthing a child is not a f***ing social construct. And they might go, okay, yeah, but what about Mother's Day cards? I mean, are you seriously telling me that you evolved to buy each other those? Get out of town. There's definitely some aspects of being a mother
Oh my god.
that you've invented. I mean, there's nature, you've got your natural properties, yeah? But then you guys, you've added a whole bunch of stuff on.
No, you didn't invent them. That's not what they're saying. They're not invented. Someone didn't sit down and decide to make them. That's not how that works.
On top of that, you're doing augmented reality like projecting extra properties onto the world. On Earth 0, we don't have any of that. We've just got the natural properties, no additives. And then suddenly, in come the people from Earth -1.
Okay.
And they're like, whoa, hold on there. What's all this stuff about natural properties? The only reason that the people of
Okay, is she gonna save it? Is she gonna pull it back?
Earth 2 bother to measure height, the only reason they have a concept of height is because they care about schmite. The act of measuring someone's height isn't a neutral thing that happens before they get assigned big or mini. When you measure something, you're already assuming that there is something there worth measuring.
Oh god. It's not, no. Oh. She was so close. She was so close. She had it. You had me for a second there. She had me for a second. I thought it was, oh, am I gonna have to follow up and say, oh no, she's proved another of it? No, she doesn't. Oh. Oh. Yeah, Abigail, I'm gonna blow your mind, okay? You see these things? I didn't understand this growing up, but if you actually spin them around, they open. Did you know that? And they say weird stuff inside. So when you refer to them, you're actually, I didn't know this, you're actually supposed to refer to the stuff inside them and not just to like the square with the name of it.
So these supposedly objective natural properties of yours are also social constructs. It's not augmented reality, it's full VR, son.
What is this? No, I already have the book, Brooks. It's okay.
On Earth -1, we don't have any of that. We're all just vibing. Presumably, life on those other Earths would look a little bit different. If you were walking around Earth 2, you'd see signs with like bigs only and stuff, because social constructs shape our environment. Suppose we took a whole city of people here on Earth 1 and we erased their memories so they didn't know about sex and race. Would they
Just here, the construction of humankind. Just it's right there. Just that's the reference. This is you were calling this a bibliography. You called this a bibliography. A bibliography is a list of works referenced. You do not just put a bibliography that just has random shit that you heard of. What? That's awful. Why? Well, because you're doing two things when you put something in a bibliography. One, you're telling someone where you got an idea from, or where you are lifting a quote from if you're quoting them. Or two actually at the same time. You are also saying that that person you're quoting said this thing. So if you are not quoting them, and you're saying something incorrectly, and you're not specifying where in their work you got it from, then simply putting gender trouble, book title name, without explaining anything about them, you're actually just slandering those writers with your own opinions. Like,
and we erased their memories so they didn't know about sex and race. Would they reinvent those categories when they saw their environment? Would they look at public toilets and go, oh, hey, there's two different spaces here. But in our homes, we've only got one. What's up with that? Would they go, oh, hey, we've got darker skin and we all live on the bad side of town where the houses aren't as nice? Why? Our social constructs have shaped our environment, which in turn reinforce our social constructs. I think that was an episode of Star Trek, actually. So we've identified this whole layer of reality, which really affects our lives, but which we seem to be just inventing, at least to some extent. So...
yeah, she doesn't understand the point. It's not that, oh, why do you care? It's nothing to do with why do you care. You cannot care. The point is that oh my god. The point is that the categorization, natural, unnatural, sexual, non-sexual, and so on and so forth, involves an artificial compartmentalization of something that is actually continuous and isn't differentiated in that clean, easy way that's helpful for our categorizations. It is useful to talk about reproductive organs in medical discourse, say, because it tells people at a glance what roughly you're referring to. However, it is not useful to talk about sexual characteristics versus non-sexual characteristics. Why? Well, because there isn't actually a point at which your body stops being concerned about reproduction, or concerned about sex, or stops being concerned with like the drives associated with the things we associate with the sexual and so on and so forth. You are one thing, and not only are you one thing, you're actually continuous with things that are quote unquote outside of you. So everything's sexual? No, not quite. It's not that everything's sexual, it's that the distinction between sexual and non-sexual is arbitrary and doesn't actually have ontological value. Wow.
Xendu tipped $100. Someday you will shake off the philosophy tube curse. Someday Sunday. Xendu tipped $100. Someday you will shake off the philosophy tube curse. Someday Sunday.
I don't know why I did that twice, but that's incredibly generous. Thank you so much, Xendu. Seriously, I really appreciate that. That's great. Thank you. I don't think I'll ever... I will shake off the philosophy tube curse when she stops making videos. Although, to be fair, she's very slow. I think we're going to exhaust this very quickly. We're going to move on. My next video is on Jordan Peterson, actually. And it's specifically taking shot at the conservative use of social contract language. But... thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what's great about this, by the way? I actually get to keep that money. When this was through Super Chats, that would be $70, and YouTube would take $30. Yeah. So it's okay. It could be worse. The trick, of course, is fewer people like have PayPal set up to do that, so it balances out. Again, my preferred way for people to support the channel is through Patron and so on and so forth. But that is phenomenal, and I do like that we actually can have TTS now, because you can't do that with YouTube Super Chats. They don't have that set up. I think you can, actually. I think Queeman had that going, but I don't have Super Chats anymore. Exactly. I'm having bread tonight. That's a whole month of Cal payment. It's 50% of a whole month of Cal payment this month.
What is going on?
That is an excellent question. Okay, I think we get the general gist. I'm going to pop on Alien Isolation. We're going to open up, we're going to go on to Twitch as well. Okay, we're going to dual stream to Twitch. So, if you want to follow me as I game and whatnot, and you want to make sure that you're subscribed to the backup channel. Oop. Is there anything here I need to hide? No, we're good. Okay. Why did it jump to that window? That should be in this window over here. If you want to jump over to Twitch and subscribe to my Twitch channel if you haven't already, that is going to be our backup in case, for whatever reason, YouTube goes down. We're going to be on Twitch. YouTube video essays I will probably be publishing on Patreon, and then we'll allow a channel not belonging to me to publish them for free. Because I'm nice like that. Also because I can't monetize them at that point. So, let me pull up Twitch. I'm going to see actually if creator dashboard. Here we go. Okay. So I think we should be live now. And are we? Or do I need to hit a thing still? Hang on. Oh, no, there we go. Gaming. Stream title. Alien Isolation. Like a leftist. There we go. Because leftists are bad at everything. Okay, there we go. All right. Boom, and we're in. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab some more wine, and we're going to continue. One moment. We'll pop the starting screen on for people who are on Twitch. Oh, am I muted? I meant to do that. I was testing you. I was testing you all. I wanted to make sure you were all awake and on your toes, okay? Ariella says, the idea of truth, philosophy is a search for truth, and yet you have argued that truth is relative. Ah, but truth is not relative. Truth is kind of a meaningless term overall, but more to the point, philosophy is actually the love of truth, not the search for truth, okay? So there. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Alright, here we go. No more talking. Time for screaming.
Ripley? Is that Ripley?
No, it's Ripples.
How is she?
She needs treatment. Medical's nearby, but I didn't want to leave her.
I'll go and investigate. See what I can find. You stay with her.
I'll try to repair the radio booster. What if this...
Is he gonna pop up here?
creature shows up?
Hide.
Unauthorized security breach detected. All transit shut down by order of Apollo.
There's something bad behind me, isn't there? Shit.
Systems
I need a doctor. Hello? I need a...
I can't hear you. Hang on. Come on, I've opened the elevator for you.
Doctors are always British. Have you noticed that? They're always British. I don't know why. Every doctor is British, even in Deep Space Nine. I just poured wine on my tan pants. There are no ruined, because this bottle is too big. I don't know why I'm singing. Got it on my fingers. Now I need to go. One moment. All right. Time to isolate some aliens. I'm also going to move OBS over here so I can actually communicate with you. All right.
Forget the door. The marshals locked everything down. Use the vent. Relax. I'm closing the vent behind you. Just be there.
Visiting hours are 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you.
You're not catching us at our best.
Right.
I'm Coleman.
Ripley, I need to find a doctor.
I'm a doctor.
My friend needs help. Medical supplies.
Me too. There are no supplies on this level. But there are plenty downstairs in the hospital dispensary.
How do we get there?
We? Do I look like I'm in any fit state? I need your help and you need mine. You find the passcode for the service elevator and then I'll come down to the hospital with you, okay?
Passcode?
Yeah. I can direct you from here. Morley or Lingard would have had the new passcode. Morley's office is your best bet. Come on. Let's work together, huh? Mutual benefit. Keep moving. The area you're in was for our more unstable patients, those who had trouble adapting to deep space.
Just tell me where to go, Carl.
Tragic cases. Don't worry, they're all long gone. That's right. Along that corridor.
I thought that said, can you talk to Queeman for a second?
Have you found the passcode?
1702.
Look, we'll need the physical keycard too. Morley always kept it on him. Find him.
There's a lot of poker chips here for some reason.
Warning. Medical facility quarantine breach detected. Warning.
Relax.
Medical facility
I'm just trying to find out what that is. You focus on finding that keycard.
Shit.
I do not like this.
It is the morning. The sun is high in the sky above you.
He's right there. You know what? This guy's got cameras on me. He could literally tell me where it is. I hear him. He must be in the he must be in the vents down. Oh, he's in the vents down below. Okay, Morley is right there. Okay, good. So very close. Very close. So we gotta go... Isn't that where we came in? Where is he? Oh, shoot. There you are. Okay, hang on, hang on. All right. Oh, we didn't do the thing we want to do. We went the wrong way. We want to go in. here. Okay. So. The key card is right there. Do you mind? Oh shit, I need to remember the passcode. I thought that was inactive, that's why I wasn't clicking on it. Okay. I've made a big mistake. Hi! Alright, while he's looking at that, we're going to go into our... Wait. How do we check our journal here? Oh, here we go, okay. Archive logs. Where are our codes? $1702, okay. Alright, 1702. Don't see anything. Where are you going, buddy? Coming back? Two. Shit. I swear to God, I could hear that right behind me. I could probably...
There is a thick, warm spacesuit in front of you.
Oh.
You put it on. You are separate from the world.
I am separate from the world.
Slow, reliable sound of your own breath. Troubles can't notice.
I don't like that sound. Okay, we need to go out the door to our left, then there. Oh, you coming back? Okay, hang on. This wants us to go, yeah, to the left. It's right there.
Morley.
A26. A26, A29, C21. A26, C29, A21. I just crossed the other way. That's a locker. Okay, so the way there, we're going to go up here, and then down. I think that's the way there. Okay. We passed a save point at all? Must be one nearby. No. Last one's up there. Okay, that's really frickin'. That's gonna suck. Here we go. Wait. Hang on, where is he, though? He didn't pass outside the hall. How's he back there? What's back there? He's in that area. Okay. But you know what? We found a save point. Alright, we're gonna go for it. Fortune favors the bold. I have made a terrible mistake, haven't I? Okay. We're gonna actually go this way. Why are we going this way? Well... right there, next to me, is a save point. And I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. No, 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 no. No, don't do that. God. Alright. Now with my newfound boldness due to my newly acquired immortality. Excusez-moi. We're gonna go forward. Yeah. Why is he still stomping? Oh, Oh, did YouTube disconnect? Hang on. Oh, that's weird. No, we should still be live on YouTube. That's weird. Oh, I just ended the stream there. Okay. Well, okay. We're gonna keep on going on Twitch for a little bit.